All right, welcome to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today. Look, if you're an analyst, a venture investor, a corporate exec, or frankly, just someone whose job touches emerging tech, you are exactly where you need to be. Today, we're taking the incredibly dense daily insights straight from the Next in AI newsletter and transforming them into a high-level executive briefing. We're going to cut through the noise and distill the most market-moving, technologically significant developments happening literally right now into one clear 360-degree overview. So let's kick this off with a bit of a perspective shift from a recent piece in IEEE Spectrum. Meet me when the young moon rises. That phrase was actually scratched onto a stone wall ages ago. It was essentially humanity's very first protocol for connection. And if you fast forward through thousands of years of storytelling and printing presses and the internet, you arrive right here today. Artificial intelligence isn't just another SaaS tool you subscribe to. It is quite literally the newest, most expansive scale of human connection we've ever built. And keeping that massive evolutionary leap in mind is the perfect way to frame the tectonic shifts we're about to look at. Here is our agenda for today's briefing. We'll start with market movers and strategy, move into AI security and trust risks, then explore the agent and on-device frontier, and wrap up with domain innovations and our startup radar. Let's get into it. Section 1. Market movers and strategy. Tectonic industry shifts. We're starting right at the top of the food chain, looking at the massive macroeconomic shifts at the enterprise level. According to Bloomberg, Microsoft and OpenAI are officially loosening their exclusive revenue-sharing deal. Now, for Microsoft, they remain a major shareholder, they keep non-exclusive rights to OpenAI tech through 2032, and they'll get capped payments until 2030. But for OpenAI, this is a total game changer. They're ending that revenue share to Microsoft going forward, and crucially, they're now totally free to offer their products across any other cloud provider. That completely rewrites the competitive map for cloud infrastructure. And you know what that newfound independence immediately translates to? Massive government adoption. OpenAI has officially hit FedRAMP Moderate authorization for ChatGPT Enterprise and their API. If you track enterprise tech, you know this is the golden ticket. This unlocks secure, fully compliant AI implementation across United States federal agencies. It's essentially a giant green light for massive, lucrative government contracts. And speaking of massive contracts and sovereign wealth, just let this number sink in for a second. $20 billion. The World Economic Forum just reported that Saudi Arabia launched a new AI-powered sustainability platform that is projected to unlock $20 billion by 2030. So we're not just playing around with chatbots anymore, right? We are looking at AI serving as the fundamental infrastructure for national economies and global sustainability goals. Section 2. AI security and trust risks. The evolving threat landscape. Because let's be real, as governments and these huge enterprises adopt AI at an unprecedented scale, securing these models becomes absolutely paramount. The bad guys are not waiting around. As highlighted in a recent IEEE Spectrum report on the Claude Mythos preview, we desperately need new paradigms for security. Hackers are already weaponizing generative AI. They're spinning up AI-generated deepfakes for scams. They're deploying incredibly complex malware built with AI coding tools, and they're using automated chatbots to run highly convincing phishing campaigns at scale. So, traditional security perimeters just aren't enough anymore. Check out this brilliant new research defining what's called the informational viability principle. It basically points out a terrifying reality. An autonomous AI agent can be fully authorized, perfectly fine on paper, and yet still become totally unsafe. How? Well, its behavior drifts over time, adversaries adapt, and its decision patterns shift, all without a single line of actual code changing. So governing an AI agent now literally means we have to estimate and bound its unobserved behavior while it's running. It is a completely new way of thinking about software safety. Fortunately, researchers are fighting back with some really clever defensive frameworks. Take Agent Ward, for example. This is a full lifecycle security architecture. Its entire job is to stop security failures from cascading down the line, from the moment an agent is initialized through to its memory, decision-making, and final execution. On the other end of the spectrum, you have green shielding. This is much more user-centric. It focuses on protecting models against routine, non-adversarial phrasing variations. It proves that sometimes the AI just gets confused by how regular people talk, and it needs protection from everyday misunderstandings, not just deliberate cyber attacks. Section 3, the agent and on-device frontier, bleeding edge research. All right, pivoting away from the security hurdles for a moment, we are currently witnessing a massive industry-wide shift from simple prompt-based bots to fully autonomous systems. A prime example here is Symphony. This is a new open-source spec from OpenAI for codex orchestration. And what does it actually do? It basically turns your standard issue trackers into always-on agent systems. Imagine an AI that doesn't just sit there waiting for a prompt. It just lives in the background of your system, autonomously picking up engineering tickets and doing the work. It cuts context switching and massively boosts output. But here's the fun question. How do we actually know if these autonomous agents are smart enough to apply scientific discovery to real-world engineering? Enter SciCrafter. Researchers are literally using the video game Minecraft to benchmark AI. It's wild. The loop goes like this. First, the agent has to discover causal regularities in the game's physics. Second, it has to apply those findings to build a functional system. And third, researchers evaluate it using complex, parameterized Minecraft redstone circuits. It's a highly gamified but incredibly effective way to prove if an AI can actually bridge the gap between abstract theory and applied engineering. And all of this autonomous capability is slamming right into a fierce hardware reality. The epic tug-of-war between cloud and on-device AI. Cloud AI obviously gives you massive power, but you're totally dependent on a connection, and your data has to leave your device. On the flip side, we have on-device small language models, or SLMs. A recent case study integrated models like the 2.6 billion parameter Gemma 4 E2B into an app called Palabrita, and it perfectly highlighted the tension here. On-device models promise fully offline, totally private AI experiences. But the engineering constraints of trying to squeeze a brain that powerful into a mobile phone's memory, they are incredibly severe. Section 4, Domain Innovations and Startup Radar, Real-World ROI. This is where all those macro trends we've been talking about actually hit the pavement and drive real-world return on investment. Keep this number in your head, 823. A new study just validated a rubric for evaluating clinical AI across 823 real-world patient encounters. Now, why should you care about that? Because historically, evaluating healthcare AI required a human expert to manually review every single scoring instance. It was agonizingly slow and ridiculously expensive. This new research proves that we can create clinically valid, economically viable AI evaluations, allowing us to safely deploy AI in healthcare without those massive traditional bottlenecks. And honestly, clinical AI is just the beginning. Look at the incredibly specific industry-level ROI happening right now. We've got K-Meatbench, which is creating an expert-level multimodal benchmark specifically for Korean meteorology and weather forecasting. We have Achromo, an open-source platform giving researchers a graphical interface for deep learning-based chromosome detection to speed up genetic diagnosing. And we have companies like Choco, who are hooking into OpenAI's APIs to completely automate and streamline global food distribution. AI is literally becoming the operational backbone of almost every physical industry on Earth. And to really drive home just how insanely fast this ecosystem is moving right now, let's do a rapid-fire check of our startup radar with the latest launches hitting Product Hunt. We've got Blueprint, helping you create airtight plans for your coding agents. Lovable, which actively grabs your mobile app ideas before you even sit down at a desk. DozaAssist, which is an open-source local AI that actually learns how you personally edit video. Thoth, delivering completely private local transcription right on your Mac. And LumenTool, acting as a high-end 3D portrait lighting simulator. The sheer velocity and the hyper-niche utility of grassroots AI development right now is just staggering. But if we want to keep this crazy innovation engine running, researchers are arguing that we have to fundamentally change how we share information. A fascinating new paper proposes creating what they call agent-native research artifacts to overcome the storytelling tax. Right now, scientists basically have to throw away all their failed experiments, rejected hypotheses, and complex branching logic just so they can fit their findings into a neat, human-readable linear paper. By shifting to formats designed for AI agents, we can feed the entire messy research process directly back into the AI, which could dramatically accelerate future scientific discoveries. And that brings us to the end of our executive briefing today. We've covered a lot of ground, from billion-dollar sovereign investments in autonomous coding agents right down to the dark realities of AI-generated malware. So I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to chew on. As AI rapidly deploys across our global infrastructure, from our hospitals all the way to our food supply chains, how are you balancing the relentless, absolutely necessary drive for innovation with the critical emerging need for strict lifecycle security? It really is the defining puzzle of our technological era. Thank you so much for joining me on The Explainer. Stay curious, and I'll see you next time.